Welcome back.
It's Algernon.
And it's me, Nona. Welcome to our talk show.
Yes. And today we want to talk about food and also budgeting.
Yes.
On how, we buy groceries and how we stick to our own budget.
Yeah.
So, my first question to you is, how do you budget your meals every single week, every time you go to the grocery store?
All right. So first and foremost, I want to mention that I like to have a list because it kind of keeps me, focused on what exactly I need to get. And then from there, I know from there what to get, right? So when it comes to my protein sources, so that would be my beef or chicken, maybe some sausages here and there, and eggs. So I put that on my list. Then I have my produce items, mostly lettuce, and then if I wanted to get some frozen vegetables to saute, I put that in the list as well. And typically, I'd say on average, so if I were to not throw in ice cream there, because sometimes it's something I like to add, but typically I'd spend like maybe around 50, but it depends on the quantity of what I'm, purchasing. Because if I feel like I want to buy, only a few of these items that day, then of course it's gonna, lessen by a little bit. But I make sure for the most part I don't go over 50. If I were to only go in once in that day, but then on a weekly basis I try not to go over 100. I try not to.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry about that.
For me, I always mine's tricky because sometimes I go over 100 majority of the time.
Yeah.
That's because I'm vegetarian and I get a lot of protein and a lot of vitamins and supplements for me. So for anybody out there that's a vegan or a vegetarian, the main thing is to get our protein.
And the B12.
Yes, and the B12. So for me, I basically spend, if I'm making certain meals, I spend like 120, 130. It just really truly depends on what I'm actually making.
Yeah.
If it's going to be something quick, like my vegetarian tacos, that's going to be at least like 40 to 45 at least or less, depending. If I was making vegetarian gumbo or vegetarian enchiladas and stuff like that, that's going to be over $100. So it just depends on how I feel and what I want to make, because I make a lot of different recipes. So it just depends on what I choose to make that day.
Yeah, and also I wanted to add that the amount that we choose to spend, it also is dependent on, who we're feeding in the family besides ourselves.
Exactly.
Because if you do not live on your own or whatever, and you're only considering spending just for yourself, you have to, take into consideration that you have other members in the household.
Yes.
And so that amount might be a lot higher because, you want to make sure you cook at a certain quantity that will feed everyone besides yourself. So, yeah. Right. So just a disclaimer that when we state, a certain amount, again, it always varies from person to person because it depends on their situation. So
yes.
Yeah.
What are your tips and ideas for buying groceries?
Ooh, so some tips I want to mention what works for me. All right. So again, I want to make sure I come in with a mindset that this is what I'm going to get for sure, but I want to make sure I write it down in my notes. And if you guys have an iPhone or even a lot of smartphones nowadays, you can just write it down, just type it out. And that's easy. That kind of saves you from thinking about, what is it that I'm supposed to actually get? And it saves you time because in the grocery store, sometimes it can be super busy that the last thing you want is to feel like you don't know exactly what you're in there for. And then there's a huge line on top of that. So make sure you have a list. I'd say that's the number one tip. Number two, know what you really want to consume, because the last thing you want is to waste that. Because that's a huge problem, because the tendency is if we buy in bulk, let's say, on the weekly basis type of grocery shopping, the tendency is the more you place so much on your cart and then you pay for that whole week, right? And then you start forgetting, certain amount, like the few items that you wanted to use up that week, and then it ends up being somewhere in the fridge, and then you don't even realize it is sometimes. So we have to be more aware of what is it that we actually are going to consume and are going to use up during that week. So I want to say that as a number 2. And number 3, I'd say you just got to make sure you do have a set limit or budget. You don't have to be super specific, because I know taxes and all that, they vary, right?
Right.
Especially, if you're in certain parts of, the world, that might vary. But yeah, to just keep that into consideration and make sure you have a budget. So in terms of tips that you would give, what would you say?
I would say you have to know what grocery store works for you and how much you are willing to spend for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I always think about, what's good for me. For me, I like to always try to find different ways when I am grocery shopping. How can I reduce the price? So, for example, let's say some of these grocery stores nowadays, you can put in your phone number and stuff like that, and that actually helps deduct the price even more.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like anybody out there in California, there's Vons and like Ralph's and other grocery stores like that. And on the East Coast, that has like Publix and Kroger's.
Winn-Dixie, yeah.
If you do all that, that actually helps bring down the price. So that's like some of my tips that I actually try to do.
Yeah, so guys, if there happens to be a rewards type of thing or a system, take advantage of that, especially if you were to go to that grocery store more often.
Yes.
And if you guys happen to have those type of newspapers or ads from the grocery stores that include like discounts or just like even coupons that day, and just take advantage of that as well, because you want to make sure you save as much money as possible, especially during grocery shopping. So
yeah, because nothing ain't cheap no more.
That's right.
All this stuff be expensive, so you want to save as much as possible each time you go grocery shopping.
Absolutely.
What health food grocery stores do you go to?
All right. So again, this varies from different states, but I go typically to Winn-Dixie. There's Publix, Sprouts, and occasionally Walmart. But I think Walmart has been more of a go-to just because it's the closest to me. So then you just got to take into consideration what sources you can get from, grocery stores like that. Because not everyone's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Walmart to get my produce and blah, blah. Like, you just have to think of certain items that that are fresh enough that you can at least use those and still save money, right?
Right.
So I consider Walmart to be a pretty good option as well, but mostly for like the frozen, like vegetables, maybe the fruits, anything that I know that it's pretty clean, I'd say. And then the meats, I go to Winn-Dixie, and Sprouts is pretty good for a lot of other health food options as well. So
yes.
I go ahead. And how about you?
For me, I go to Vons, Ralph's, I go to Standard Brothers, I go to Sprouts as well. I go to get my protein powder because every day I make protein smoothies. That's how I start off my day. It's vegan. So I use almond milk or vegan protein in those, fresh fruits and other items. That's normally how I start out my day. It's really just those grocery stores I really truly go to, and also Smart and Final. That actually helps too.
Yeah. Because they have good deals, as I recall.
I always like to find the grocery stores that has good deals, and the stores that I go to, once again, Vons, Ralph's, Standard Brothers, and Sprouts, and Smart and Final. They actually do got pretty good deals and stuff.
Yeah. So, always look out for the deals. Always look out for the BOGOs. Always look out for, just those price cuts and all that, especially when you go to the deli section or, the meat section and all that, just like
Yes.
consider that there are those little tags on there that they would place certain times or during the week. Just keep tabs on that, because you can actually save a lot more money than you think. Because a lot of the times, the things that we pay for, it's pretty pricey, but we just want to make sure that there isn't like maybe there's a coupon out there that you could use or like use your rewards and all that. Just take advantage of that and you'll be able to save a lot more money than just paying for the actual full price itself without all that.
Yeah, and you sometimes, like for me, like I have a strategy of acting like I go to buy my clothes. Like for example, if Macy's or Ralph Lauren or any type of stores like that has like a rewards or something like that, use the same mindset. Hey, I need to have a deal. I need to have a discount.
Yeah, you always have to go in with that mindset. It's just it's just a lot smarter to do that because as consumers, we need to be more aware of the prices, especially when they tend to fluctuate a lot depending on, supply and demand. I don't want to get into whole economics and stuff like that. But of course, when the demand's pretty high, the tendency is the price is going to, change. It could be pretty high as well. So you got to consider those things. Make sure you look out for coupons, look at those ads, check to see if there's a deal that day, and just take advantage of that because you want to make sure you save as much money as possible, especially if you're on a budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
What do you like about eating healthy?
Ooh, besides feeling a lot better, I think for the most part, it's good that you're treating your body right, and the outcome is so much better. You're not as tired or sluggish. Even though for me personally, I do deal with, fatigue on a daily basis because, I am anemic and stuff. So I have to take my vitamins and, my B12 and vitamin C and all that, at least to sort of function. You know what I mean? But I think eating healthy does at least help beat that lethargy a little bit. And then also you just feel like, I feel like your mental health and emotional health is a lot better as well. Because I think that's a huge thing. Not a lot of people discuss that, or even if they do, they don't go super in depth into it because it's really a huge deal. Because actually, when I was bulking even just a little bit, I only told a couple of people about this. That when I was bulking, for a few days, it felt right because I'm actually eating more, and I felt like my energy was up for that certain amount of time. And then there was a point where I was starting to feel like, bloated. I was starting to get tired again. I felt like my body was just changing so rapidly at that short period of time because I'm adding a lot more food than I was used to. So then it really did take a toll on me, not just mentally, but emotionally as well. Like I felt like I just wasn't myself. And so I had to be more aware of what I decide to consume, especially during the day, because it really can make an impact on how you see yourself sometimes or how you feel that day and how you even get through it. But
because I think a lot of times you can forget about yourself when you're doing certain stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like you always gotta make sure that you have to make sure that you're good personally. You know what I'm saying?
True. Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to start getting to a point where it's like, okay, let me try this, and now I'm starting to forget about myself. Like how you said about the whole bulking thing. Now it's like, okay, this, it's challenging.
It is.
So you always want to make sure you find a balance and do what is right for you and your body, because you only know your body better than anybody else.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm.
So that's like, it happens. Like, don't feel like it just happens to you. You know what I'm saying? It happens to everybody. You just have to know what is right and do what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, you only know how you feel when you wake up and how you go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So you always got to make sure that you are okay.
Yeah, and also I actually wanted to ask you, what do you like best about, eating healthy as well? Before we move on.
For me, I know there's a huge difference in my skin.
Oh my gosh, I wanted
When
to
it
mention
comes
that too. Yeah. Mhm.
like my skin. Like when I eat healthy, like my skin is so clear. When
Oh,
I
I
drink
know.
a gallon of water or half a gallon of water, especially for the job that I'm doing right now, my skin is so much clearer. Like I feel lighter. I don't feel sluggish. I don't feel heavy. Because when I eat heavy stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what? I don't even want to get out of bed. You get so comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So when you are cleansing yourself, I should say, um, on a daily basis, I feel so much better about myself. I feel more confident. I feel stronger. I feel
Yeah.
like, okay, my day's going to turn out great. Because if you realize, I know for me, if I eat certain food, it messes with my emotions
Yeah,
sometimes.
me
So,
too.
like, if you're eating like a lot of junk food, right?
Oh my gosh.
And if you do it a lot, you see a lot of emotions about yourself. Like you feel cranky, you seem angry, all these, you don't want to do anything.
Like lack of
So,
motivation, lack of energy, lack of
yes, you just be like, I don't want to do that.
and then you
feel
feel
like
like you're at an all-time low too. Like you feel like, what did I just do to my body? Like clearly it's not working out pretty well.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And after learning stuff with COVID, because during COVID I was eating a lot of junk, and I normally don't do that.
Oh yeah.
I felt very out of shape. I was not healthy. I didn't feel good about myself.
Me either.
So once I started to get myself back together, I'm like, okay, I feel 100% algae, the good algae. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really truly a balance on what you like to eat. You can't eat, your junk food, whatever that you like, but do it in moderation. I should say.
Yeah. I like to encourage that as well because I think living in restriction can also take a toll on you mentally and emotionally and physically as well. Because yeah, it might give you the best physique or whatever, but then again, mentally you're not your best. And I again with the whole mental health thing, it's super important actually, it can really almost take control of how you see things and how you visualize yourself and all that negativity as well. Like we just got to keep that in mind. Like if you eat a certain way for so long, and I don't know if a lot of people deal with this, but at least for me, like if I eat certain things that I know aren't good for me, that are not nutritious at all, that don't have the vitamins I need to function properly, I feel like mentally I start getting all those negative thoughts, and I know that's terrible, but yeah, and then I start feeling bad about myself, and I think that's the least fun thing to deal with. That's all I have to say about
because
that.
you start to like compare yourself to others, and then you be like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Or, why can I not do this? You start feeling all these things, and you start feeling bad about what you ate. But then you gotta realize it's okay to have junk food because even the people who have the best physique, they still eat junk food. They still, have their cheat days or whatever it is that they like.
Yeah, cheat snacks, cheat meals, cheat days. Yeah, because everyone's human. I mean, like, the thing is, we can't all just be at a diet 24/7. It's, like, not the easiest thing in the world. And even if you could do it, whether it's for, bodybuilding, whether it's for just a personal goal to just finally reach that goal of just the physique that you really want, it's just not worth it in the long term. So I think ideally it is important to have a pretty balanced diet and at least be okay to enjoy certain foods as well. Because you don't want to be at that point where you're too strict with yourself, then now you're not listening to your own, you know. And it's sad because then you can't just keep saying no, 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 like that will make me fat. Like you can't fear anything, you know what I mean? You can't just get to that point where you start fearing foods and all that because that becomes pretty detrimental.
And then you start depriving yourself from food and you start doing all these other kind of crazy things, and then you start realizing, if I do eat this bad stuff, what's everybody going to say about me? You start questioning yourself, and then
exactly,
you start to feel kind of like embarrassed, to be eating this kind of stuff, and then they're like, "What? You eat this kind of stuff?"
Oh, trust me,
all this stuff, and it's like I want everybody out here to understand that it's okay to have junk food. It's okay to have a little iced tea or soda. I don't know.
Here and there, yeah, in moderation.
Yeah, just in moderation, but don't feel bad when you have it.
Yeah, but then again, we kind of have our moments where we feel guilty, especially if you've been eating pretty clean or like you've been eating pretty well throughout the day and suddenly it just like you suddenly like break, you know what I mean? And it happens. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's okay to have just a little bit of something that at least that craving is not going to drive you crazy to the point that you start binging, because that's the worst thing that you can do. So I think that's what works for me. Like I will allow myself to have some ice cream. I don't have to go too crazy on it, but at least it helps satisfy the craving, because I know throughout the day I was eating pretty balanced. So I know for a fact I hit the protein number I needed, or I just got a good amount of calories in and made sure it was nutritious. Because the last thing I want is empty calories and then I go crazy. So yeah.
I understand. I get that.
Yeah.
How do you save while grocery shopping?
Ooh, so like we mentioned earlier, because we kind of, went into this a little bit, make sure that if you go to that grocery store often, that you check to see if they have a rewards type of system, because that really does help you get, discounts. It kind of allows you to earn points to the point that you can even get like the biggest discount ever. Actually, I think the more points you earn, you can actually start saving a lot more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so then take advantage of that if they do have it, and then make sure that if you do receive anything from the mail, whether it's their ads or newspapers or whatever, check to see what are the deals during that week, during that month, if you will. Check their website. It actually helps to look up there too, because sometimes they put it straight on the homepage, and I know Sprouts does this as well. So make sure you check that. And when you do go to the groceries, even that day that you're already shopping and all that, just browse through that section, whether it's the deli section, the produce, whatever. Browse through to see if it's on sale that day. So
yes.
Yeah. But what about you, Algie? Anything else?
For me, I'm huge on rewards.
Yeah.
That's literally a good money saver right there. Or especially, okay, I know Sprouts does this periodically. Well, I haven't been to Sprouts in a minute, but I like to drink coconut water, right?
Yeah, me too.
And it's really good for your skin and hydration. So if you're doing really good workouts, always drink coconut water. It's good for electrolytes and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway, sometimes they have at Sprouts coconut water for 99 cents. So it happens periodically. Mm-hmm. See, normally the prices be like 2 for $5. And for me, since I like coconut water, I basically take the whole aisle. I take the whole aisle. I'm like, yeah, that's the deal I want. I want to get $20 worth or $40 worth of it. So when I randomly see it, I just get it.
Yeah.
There and there. So
yeah,
because it's going to last me a good couple months.
Which is awesome.
So it's like anything that you see like that, or especially like for me, since I am vegetarian, I make a lot of vegan smoothies and stuff. If I see a good deal on the fruit I'm going to use, like raspberries, blueberries, and things like that, if I see a good deal, 2 for $5, okay, I'm going to get it. 2 for $7, okay. Same thing for the frozen vegetables. 2 for $6, I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
2 for $7, I'm going to take it. $1, I'll take it. All these things, because this stuff adds up, and I don't know if it's just me, but anybody here in California, anytime the gas go up, everything else goes up.
Gas is up here too, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it ain't funny. We gotta find ways to save money each time we leave.
Stretch the bill, have a budget set that's appropriate for, you know, your household and all that. Because it depends, again, you know, how many people you're feeding, whether it's 1, 2 siblings, parents. Just gotta consider that. So yeah, it varies from person to person. Just remember the tips that we have given in this video. If you guys have any advice or tips for how to be healthy on a budget, please feel free to let us know. But Algie, do you have a couple more words that you want to say?
Live your best life for you. Stay positive.
Yes.
And do your own thing.
Absolutely. And as always, we appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch our episodes. Again, we try to post once a week. If not, we try to just keep you guys updated. But for now, like, comment stuff from our content like this on the TheNonah&AlgeTalkshow, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.